Of course, I don't need to stress how important it is to keep possession, but today I'm going to teach you how you can protect and shield the ball with opponents in your back. And you can actually do it pretty effectively, even if you're a small guy like myself. The most obvious thing when you want to protect the ball is that you want to shield it with your body. So if you have an opponent coming in close to you, you want to make sure that you put your body between the ball and the opponent. So if he's at your back, you want to put your arm up, try to hold him off, and then keep the ball as far away from him as possible, using the sole of your outstretched leg to really make him reach for the ball. And as you can see, there's no way he's gonna get to it. Final thing you want to remember is to get out of the protection, aka shielding situation quickly. Because if Phil and we stay like this for too long, I risk Philip calling in his teammates, and then it's gonna be 4 against 1, and not even the best can handle that. So I want to get out of this to minimize my risk, and I should only protect the ball for as long as it takes me to spot an opportune moment, or simply to find an opportunity to turn around, face Philip, and then the ball is in my half.
So if I'm striker and I'm standing up like this, he can obviously get the ball. I can't protect, it's too easy for him. You have to create some distance. You want to keep the ball as far away from him as possible. Next, my arm has to be here. This is not a foul. It becomes a foul if I start grabbing his shirt like this and yanking him down, all like that. The ball is here, I receive the pass, I set up like this. I should be leaning in, he can't get to the ball. If he does reach it anyway, it's a foul. Now the next part is we don't just want to stand here and make a battle out of this. All right, the most technical players learn that they can do this stuff too. So as he tries to come around this way, I go like this. If he came around and we're shielding like this and he comes around the other side, I can switch feet. That's it. This is an easy thing to train. All right, in practice you should be doing it. That's a foul. All those things are fouls, all right? So now we've gotten the breakdown. You get to the ball, you extend it out as far as you can, you lean in as much as you can. Now you can spin if he's done like that. If he's too tight on you and he's overreaching, so if he overreaches this way, you know this is on, right? That's one to worry about. Now that I feel him, I know where he's at. And because I know where he's at, that dictates where I keep the ball, all right? He moves there, I move there. All of that makes perfect sense. Also, you use him as balance, all right? Because that means if I want to spin off, if I see space over here, as I do that, I push off. You're not going to get called for a foul like this. It's just not going to happen, okay? The defender might cry about it, but they're like goalies, okay? Just let them cry.
When you're shielding, what do you do when you're shielding someone and someone starts grabbing your hand like this?
Okay, all right. Yeah, so if that happens, obviously, and someone is grabbing my hand like this, first of all, I'm gonna scream like crazy. But next, I can still do this. As I try to break away, if he holds on to me, it's a foul. Game over. So.
Of course, not every situation is gonna be where the defender is trying to jump your back to get a piggyback ride, which is good, because that would suck. Because you also, of course, have to protect the ball when you're simply running with you. And if you can see that you're dribbling with the ball and you're getting yourself into a dead end where there will be a lot of opponents, that's what we would call a danger zone. And you simply want to turn around and keep the ball in open space where there's not that many dangerous opponents around you. So when you get close to a couple of opponents, you want to turn. And here you want to constantly keep your body between the ball and the opponent.
And number 5 is the turn drill. So we're using the exact same setup that we used for the change of speed drill, but all we're doing is taking away that 4th gate so that we're left with 3. So this one's going to be working on our sharp turns, which is an absolute fundamental part of dribbling. If you look at players like Eden Hazard, Lionel Messi, what they do with the ball is they use turns all the time to get away from their defenders. Sometimes they purposefully dribble in one direction to bait the defender into going with them, then they sharply turn on the ball and exploit the space and go in the opposite direction. So all we're doing is starting at the bottom gate here, dribbling up with speed to the middle gate, turning sharply on the ball, going back to the first gate, turning again, then exploding. First up, we have the inside turn, one of the most simple but effective turns you could possibly perform. And all you're doing is hooking the ball back towards you using the inside of the foot. Then you're using your body as a shield to protect the ball from the defender. And then once you've changed the direction of the ball, you accelerate away in the opposite direction. Number 2 is the outside turn, almost identical to the inside turn, but we're just using the outside of the foot to hook that ball back towards us. So just like the first move, we're going to use our body to get in between the ball and the defender to protect it. Then once we've changed the direction of the ball, we accelerate away. Number 5 is the V-turn, very similar to the L-drag where we're putting our foot on top of the ball, but this time we're opening up our body as we drag that ball back, and then using the inside of the foot, we're pushing it off into the opposite direction. So this is a great one for getting around defenders' feet and then pushing it off into the space.
Small, but you don't actually always have to touch the ball in order to protect it. Because say you're running towards the ball and there's an opponent behind you, you actually want to kind of throw him off and get him away from you before he can get too close and then start using his body weight to push you like we saw before. So here, you might want to use a body feint where you can kind of drop your shoulder a little bit, try to get him to think you're going that way, and then use the free space to run away from him.
To get the mechanics down, really selling that body feint, because that's going to help you to perform them in a match and with the ball on the move. So keeping the ball still, all we're going to do is be light on our toes, then we're going to lunge to the side of the ball. So we're just on one leg, really lowering that shoulder, bend it in the knee, but enough so we can explode back. We want to be light on our feet, explode to the side of the ball, really selling it by dropping our shoulder, lowering our knee. That's going to make the defender think we're going to one side. So we're literally just working on that technique, going from side to side. Once you get in a rhythm, try and go for 30 seconds without stopping. Exercise 2, now we're going to get the ball on the move. So we're going to take a little touch with the outside of the foot, stop the ball, lunge to the side, and then we're going to push the ball with the outside of the opposite foot, stop the ball, lunge, push the ball, and then we're going to get in a rhythm. So we're working on that body feint as we stop the ball, then we're throwing our shoulder and our knee beside the ball, really lowering it, making the defender thinking we're going this way, then pushing the ball in the opposite way. Then once you get in the rhythm, go for 30 seconds without stopping. The third exercise works on a really effective body feint. So we're going to take a small touch with the inside of our foot, then we're going to lunge to the side with that same foot to make it look like we're going to go back in the same direction we just pushed the ball from. So a little touch, body feint, nice and low, shoulder low, and outside of the opposite foot, stop the ball, then we're going to go the opposite way. So inside the foot, lunge, outside the foot, stop. Inside the foot, lunge, outside the foot, stop. Then you're going to get in a rhythm, go for 30 seconds without stopping. First up, we have the classic body feint, a very simple move where we're just dropping our knee and shoulder, showing with our body language to go one way and then exploding in the opposite direction. So this is the drill I've set up to work on my body feints, which you guys can work on at home. I've set up 3 cones to act as the defender, and then to the right and left of that defender, I've got 2 gates about 10 yards away, which I'm accelerating into. You really want to get used to accelerating immediately after performing 1v1 skills. This is what's going to take you away. And at first, we're working with a stationary ball, so just working on that technique. Then once we're comfortable, we can dribble towards that cone. Number 3 is the diagonal weave. So this is another fundamental part of dribbling, being able to change the angle of the ball while remaining in motion. So being able to change direction while still being sharp, still being explosive, so you can get away from defenders. If you can change direction quickly, you're going to be very unpredictable and hard to defend against. So what I like to do is place 2 gates again, then I'll take 5 steps out to the right to place my first cone, 10 steps diagonally out to the left, and then 5 more steps to place another gate. And all we're doing is going around those cones, getting to the opposite gate while going around the cones diagonally, trying to keep in full control of that ball. So what I like to do is take a touch of the ball with every step. First up is the classic chop, a very simple but incredibly effective move for cutting inside on your defender. So this technique, all you're doing is chopping the ball to the inside with the inside of your foot, and then the opposite foot comes around the front of it to complete the chop movement. You can add a bit of distraction in by faking like you're going to shoot or pass the ball and then chopping to the inside. So moving on into the next move, and this is the simplest of the bunch. One of the most simple moves you could use in a game of football. However, it's probably also one of the most effective at the same time. And it's called the hip swivel. So all you're doing is having the ball at an angle, usually when you're on the wing, or you can use it in the center of the park as well, and you're angling your hips, almost acting like you're going to pass the ball. Because when you pass the ball, you want your hips facing your target to improve your accuracy. So what Hazard does, he gets the ball, he shifts it to the inside, turns his hips like he's going to play that pass, and then as he makes that foot action, he then hooks the ball back in the direction he was initially dribbling in. So he usually dribbles, tucks inside like this, and then he shifts his hips to make it look like he's going to play that pass, and then at the last second he then just hooks the ball down the line again. So what I've done here is I'm placing 4 cones around the minefield, and what we're going to be doing is starting at any of the cones with the ball. You've got to get through the minefield, out, and get around all of the cones and return back to the starting cone without touching any of the cones. And this is more challenging because every time you come into the minefield from a new angle, it's a completely different layout, because once you've been doing the minefield for a few times, you can start to develop some kind of pattern, get a rhythm going. So if you come in from every different angle, it just disrupts that. Number 4 is the change of speed drill, which works on another part of dribbling that's often overlooked. So if you have the ability to speed up and slow down with the ball at any given second, you just become a lot more unpredictable. If you're always going at the same speed, it becomes easier for the defenders to read. So the ability to increase your speed with the ball and decrease it at any given second, you're going to be a far more effective dribbler. So that's what we're going to work on in this drill here. So the setup is we've got 4 gates about 8 steps apart. So we're not actually going through the gates, we're starting at either side of the bottom gate there with the ball at our feet, and we're just going to be constantly changing the speed every time we hit a cone. So as you can see, I'm starting slow, and then I immediately increase my speed between the 2 cones in the middle, and then I slow down again, get around that top cone and repeat.